All right, everybody. Welcome back to the final credits. I'm your host today, Johnny64, here with Big Grim Pancakes and Spade, the ace himself. Today, we are going to talk about some comments being made by Quentin Tarantino, who everybody knows is one of the most famous directors of all time, as well as one of Marvel Studios' most prominent stars right now, Anthony Mackie. They seem to be in agreement that Marvel movies, as they stand right now, over the course of the MCU's 10-year history, or 10-year plus history, it's over time has killed the concept of the movie star and what it means to be a movie star versus what it means to be a character that everybody knows you for. I think this is something that we've been starting to hear a little bit more and more. If you're well versed in the movie industry, I don't think they're the only ones that have mentioned this type of idea before. I don't know. What does everybody here think about that? Just off the cuff, when it comes to somebody like Chris Evans or RDJ, you know them as Iron Man and Captain America, and you see them in a different movie. Like, I don't know. Do you think that they're at a disadvantage being a part of the MCU?
I'm going to say no, just because that is the actor's job, essentially. The actor pretends. They portray another individual, another character, and if the audience just sees, oh, that's Captain America playing blah, 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 I'll be completely honest, that's the audience's fault.
Interesting take.
But he's right, though.
Yeah.
He's right. Look,
go ahead, Speed.
At the end of the day, like Grimm said, they're actors. They're playing a role, right? Now, I think people are misunderstanding it, and I think they're saying that people are typecast, because if you're playing a superhero, then people will be like, oh, what superhero can he play next? Or he can only play that superhero. That's not true. Look at Chris Evans. He played Captain America and he played Human Torch. Mm-hmm. But nobody's batting an eye on that, right? Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's complaining. Nobody said nothing. Mm-hmm. So you can play different roles and not bring up the superhero thing. It's just that you're known for that. That's all it is.
Let me challenge that with a question. If, let's say, he started as Captain America and then he became, Human Torch after that, because if you think about it, he was, Human Torch twice, but he was Captain America for 10 years straight, and he had a lot more movies, to his name there. So I'm sure a lot more people recognize him as that versus when he was, the Human Torch. I think one difference is that these actors are one thing that I think the Marvel Studios shook up in the movie industry more than anything else is putting actors into multi-year deals where, it's not just, they're not signing up for one movie, they're signing up for the whole kit and caboodle, right? So it's that takes up all their time. They're very limited in what else, they can do besides Marvel movies. We got Robert Downey Jr., we had him in Sherlock Holmes a couple times, and then, not really anything else, I think, after, or at least anything notable.
I feel like Robert Downey Jr. was a separate situation just because started with Iron Man, literally pulled Marvel out of bankruptcy with that movie, and this was also him coming back into the picture as an actor. So yes, he needed to do all this, and then trying to establish a Marvel cinematic universe, and not even realizing what we had yet. And then when we finally had everything cemented, that's when we finally realized, oh, okay, now you're in a multi-year deal and stuff. But having said all that, I feel like it does unfortunately come down to the name as well. You have Robert Downey Jr., so he is a big enough name, at least in the MCU, that he could afford to do whatever he wanted. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I kind of am too. When you have Anthony Mackie, who is, yes, the new Captain America, and I think he is going to absolutely kill it, is not as big a name as Robert Downey Jr., so it's you don't have enough wiggle room to do whatever you want, especially when we have you in this contract right here. You can't do anything. You're bound to it.
Exactly. But when he said oh, no one's coming to see Anthony Mackie. They're coming to see the Falcon, but we love you in that role. And getting back to RDJ.
But it's not what he's trying to say is it's not the same thing. I am a character. I am a person playing a character. People are calling him by the character name. That's not the same thing.
True,
I mean, go ahead, Pancakes.
But in RDJ's case, it relaunched his career. He got an Oscar nomination somehow for the Tropic Thunder. I know, controversial. That's another conversation. Sherlock Holmes. It made him an even bigger star. Yes, people are going to think Tony Stark, Iron Man, but they're not going to the movies to say, "Oh, see Iron Man." They want him to play that role. God forbid if they ever brought him back, it's RDJ, not Tom Cruise, in that role. And yes, we're going to see Captain America, but we want Chris Evans as Captain America before the torch got passed to Anthony Mackie. He's now the current Cap.
I see what you did there, Pancakes.
Yeah.
No, and I think to your point, Pancakes, is that I feel like Marvel movies really nowadays they tend to take bigger actors, like Michelle Pfeiffer and like Ant-Man and whatnot. But for the most part,
Michael Douglas.
But for the most part, I feel like the actors that they did pull for like their big characters were like mid to even like rookie tier actors that now that they're in these movies, it kind of gives them like a halo effect where if they show up in another movie, people can be like, oh, I want to see that because like that's that was a person from this Marvel movie. Let's see how they do in something else.
Well, here's another thing to add on to this too, maybe to stir the pot or not or whatever. But for example, Armor Wars coming out, starring Don Cheadle as Rhodey. I'll tell you this much. I'm more excited to see Don Cheadle as Rhodey than I am Terrence Howard.
But by now, yeah. But that's who he is.
It's also been 15 years since he's played that role. So
well, again, if I may get hate, I may not. I don't care. If I could go back, if I could find a way, I would definitely replace Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle in the first Iron Man. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But that's like saying you want Ed Norton as the Incredible Hulk instead of
Mark Ruffalo. Okay.
Well, I think it comes down to they were chosen for a reason. They stayed as long as they have been because of their popularity. Like most Marvel actors really embodied their characters that they were playing, and they became them in a lot of ways. Like people see them as the characters that they play, which is obviously ties into what Tarantino and Mackie are talking about. But I don't think it hurts their career as much as they say it is. And maybe people are going for characters over movie stars, but I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Like if you're so good of an actor that you're really like melting completely into your role and people see you as that and you're getting nothing but praise for it, I think overall people will just see you as a really good actor doing a really good job. And if you show up in another movie, like I said, there's a halo effect now around you that people will probably want to see that movie because they know you from something that they tie you to completely. So I don't know, like an example, so this is Apple TV movie that came out a while ago called The Banker. It has both Anthony Mackie and Samuel L. Jackson in it. I thought they both did a great job with it. It was a really great movie. It was based on like a true story, and I think like the characters that they were embodying from real life, they really sunk into those roles too. As I was watching it, I wasn't thinking like. At first it's like, oh yeah, hey, it's the Falcon and Nick Fury, but like as you're watching the movie, it's just that good, and they're doing that good of a job acting into their characters that you're not thinking of that after a short period of time, in my opinion.
And Samuel L. Jackson has a huge resume he has so his list of roles go down the block. So people, we may think Nick Fury right away, but he has so many legendary movies. So
I'll give you another example. So today I watched We Have a Ghost, and it stars Anthony Mackie and David Arbor. Not once did I think, oh, look, Captain America and Red Guardian are in the same movie. Like, you don't feel that at all.
There you go.
I mean, the movie's not that great to begin with, but
Ooh.
that's a different story.
That's another video.
Mhm.
No, that's not even worth making another video.
And Ryan Reynolds is a big. I mean, yeah, you're gonna think Deadpool right away, but he's a big enough star that you can think of other roles too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dare I also say too with this, because we've had at least two very big directors say roughly the same thing
Oh boy.
in the sense of, oh, these Marvel movies, there's no art to them. There's just
they're theme parks.
they're theme parks. Yes, they're killing the movie star in Quentin Tarantino and
Martin Scorsese.
Thank
Martin
you,
Scorsese.
Johnny. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Francis
He's
Francis
very
Coppola.
outspoken.
Listen,
Yeah.
when I first hear these comments, the first thing I think of, jealousy. Jealousy in the sense that these movies are getting more attention to theirs, but at the same time, I can understand where they're coming from because their movies are more of an artistic style, and I understand it, versus the machine that's just pumping out the same kind of thing over and over and over again, and it's just making more and more and more money. I can understand where they're coming from this. I truly do. But again, the first time I heard this, I'm like, jealous much? Like, if they were asked by Disney to, Spade, I know you're shaking your head, but if they were asked by Disney to direct one of these movies, I don't see them denying the opportunity.
No, what is the somebody was asked to do a Star Wars movie.
A Star Wars movie. I'm talking MCU right now.
Doesn't
I
matter.
know, like, it doesn't really matter, but
What are you saying? If like Martin Scorsese was asked to do an MCU movie, you'd probably say no.
He would definitely say no.
we
Yeah.
don't know. We won't know
100%.
unless that happens.
But like Spielberg, maybe. I
He
think.
might say yes.
That's
Yeah.
also
It depends.
another big name. Hell,
Mhm.
he did Ready Player One.
And that was
Yeah,
a
so
good
it's-
movie.
He's no stranger to fandom movies, in my opinion. I think. You know.
Who is the big Academy Award winning director of The Eternals that was asked to?
Chloe Zhao or
Oh yeah.
Zoe
Yeah.
Chow?
No, I think it was Chloe Zhao.
Chloe Zhao. Yeah, there is a Zoe Chow. So I was like, wait, which one is it?
Oh boy. Yee. But
But
yeah, that's just my opinion. That's just a grim opinion on this one.
not
It is
so
also-
grim opinion.
But it's also a little shocking that one of their own stars would say the movie star is dead, and you're going to see the character. You know, I know he's just being honest. That's his opinion.
You know what it is? I mean, think of it this way: if you're an actor, you put like your life into being an actor. You learn your craft and everything. Like you go into it expecting to become like the next Tom Cruise or Denzel Washington or something like that, where like people are you want to be the name in like Anthony Mackie is Falcon, but it's just like
Right.
no, like you're watching it because it's the Falcon and that's who he is as the character. Like you just know him by now. So like I think and I'm sure like other people, like I said, I know that like one or two other people like in that realm have also said similar things that they probably get into this business expecting to be a big movie star and to have like that billboard name and everything like that, but then they get sucked into something like this where it's more character focused and you get you become one with that character, and then that's what everybody knows you for, and then 10 years later the MCU is still going strong and people just know you mostly as that. So as an actor trying to build something, I can understand like that's probably where their thinking comes from.
To go over to the DC side for a moment, especially Batman, Christian Bale, Ben
There's a lot of
Affleck.
other things to be unhappy about if you're coming from the DC realm. Yeah.
But my
Or
point
are you
is,
doing this to me?
they're big enough stars that they're not typecast in the
True.
role, especially Christian Bale, who won an Oscar, Ben Affleck, who won an Oscar, Michael Keaton's a big enough name. Like, yeah, we all think Batman for him too.
Well, I think Ben Affleck is a better example because like he's in like one of those universe movies where he's tied to a bunch of different movies. Like Keaton was Batman twice. Christian Bale just had his trilogy and that was it. And
Yeah,
Keaton's
he was
coming
Batman
back,
twice 30 years ago. People forgot.
Yeah. So
A new
again, like,
generation
but
is
Ben
coming.
Affleck is a good example though, because he is like that movie star name that
Okay, so here's the bigger issue, because I feel like we're going kind of in circles. The
Mhm.
bigger issue is the fact that in a 10-year time frame, you put out 5 movies of you being one character and 1 movie of you being a different character. That's the whole problem. So there was 5 movies that Chris Evans played as Captain America, but there was only 1 movie where he didn't play Captain America, which was Knives Out. So you see the difference? Nobody's going to remember him as the character from Knives Out. They're going to remember him as the character of Captain America, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go with Michael Keaton. He was Batman 30 years ago. No one remembers that anymore, right? But now that he's coming back as Batman in The Flash, they're like, oh, okay, Michael Keaton again. But he made how many movies since then? Okay, let's change it up. Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck played Batman 3 times, right? Suicide Squad.
Going on
Batman
4.
versus,
Yeah,
Batman
all
versus
right.
Superman.
Okay, but he's also had 4 different movies at the same time that those movies came out. So he's not exactly just that.
He's a bigger actor too, though.
So
yeah, he's more like Samuel L. Jackson, though, that he had his name established before.
Right.
Coming
Okay,
through.
look at Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill, he played Superman. He played The Witcher. He played Sherlock Holmes.
That one guy with the mustache from Mission Impossible.
Right, exactly. So he played different characters.
You're not helping, Johnny.
But
Just saying.
But the point is the fact that they play more characters. They played more different roles. While as with the MCU movies, the people in the MCU movies are literally just making those movies. Look, Robert Downey Jr. made Doolittle, and that was a flop. It was worse than a flop. Whatever's worse than a flop. Okay? So
Failure.
yeah.
He made those 2 Sherlock Holmes movies that were pretty successful.
Okay,
great.
So in a matter of 10 years, you made 6 Marvel movies, but you made 2 Sherlock Holmes movies. The other movies are billion-dollar movies, and the Sherlock Holmes were, 500 mil at max. Who's going to be remembered for what?
Yeah, I mean, I think also too, once they do get into other movies, now that RDJ is out of the MCU for now, at least, whatever movies he is in, or any other Marvel actor trying to do another movie, those studios should probably make an effort to market them as their name.
Right.
So, hey, this is Anthony Mackie starring in blah, blah, blah. Like they should push to have the studios market them like that if they're so worried about it, in my opinion. That's my 2 cents on that.
What do you think?
Yeah, guys, what do you think down below in the comments? Let us know. And while you're down there too, hit the like and subscribe button. Also hit that little bell. It helps us out a lot. Really appreciate it. And until then, roll credits.
We out.